that, do you want to create an auto scaling for this group? Yes, I do want to create an auto scaling for this group because that is the reason I have created launch configuration. So let's click on create an auto scaling group. Let's write the name of auto scaling group, my auto scaling. What is the size? Group size 1. What does it mean? It means when you're starting your auto scaling group, so it should start with 1 or 2 or 3. No, basically it is trying to say that when you're building a cluster, the clusters should start with how many number of instances. My cluster will start with single instance, 1 instances. You can you can remodify it to 2 or maybe 3, maybe 4. It's up to you, your requirement. I am proceeding with 1 instance. My cluster will start with 1 instance. By default, it will get created in the VPC of this region. I'm selecting all the subnet. That means whenever an EC2 is getting created, it should get created any of the subnet and not dedicated to one specific. Configuration scaling policy. As discussed earlier, there are two different scaling policies. One is keep this group at its initial size, and the next one is use scaling policies to adjust the capacity of this group. How do we configure scale out, scale in? We need to set the soft limit and the hard limit. That means the cluster will start with one node, and as the load increases, it will reach up to the hard limit. I can keep the hard limit as 10. Then you can provide the name of this group, metric type. When I say load on the node increases, what does it mean? Load on what? It can be on CPU, it can be on RAM, it can be on storage, it can be on any of the other stuff. We would take CPU as utilization. The next point is target value. That means the threshold value. We can keep at 75%. An instance need 300 seconds is the default one. That means whenever the instance is ready, you can use it within 300 seconds. Disable scale in. There are times when client can ask you to disable scale in because they might realize that once it is scaled out, that is the basic requirement of the time. And then you can save and proceed it. We'll proceed with keep this group at its initial size because even if I provide scale in, scale out, it's tough for me to increase the load of my node. So since the load on the node will not increase, scaling out of the server would be a bit difficult, but that does not hinder us from not proceeding with it. We can proceed and try that stuff too. But as part of demonstration, I would go ahead with keep this group at its initial size. Configure notation. Notification means if in case your server goes down, you should be notified. To get a notification, you need to work on service known as SNS. That means server notification services, simple notification services. That is yet to be covered, so I'll not be adding any add points to it. Configure tags, providing name. This name means the EC2 instance that gets created later due to auto scaling policy will have this name. Review, create auto scaling group. So I have selected keep it to its initial size. What does that mean? My initial size that I started my cluster was with one instance. That means if in case one instance is not running, auto scaling will get invoked and it will create an instance for me. So let's see what does happen. So auto scaling has been configured. I'll go to instances. Seems a trouble in the network. Just refreshing it. So I can see auto scaling has created a server for me. I had not created that stuff. I'll do one thing. I will terminate this instance because I do not require it. Just a second. I have I'll just set a filter